There's a few things I want to speak on today, one of which being mass migration, and why exactly what seems to be the majority of the people in the country, left or right, it doesn't matter, seem to be largely against mass migration. The other thing I'd like to speak on is what exactly conserving, or what it means to be a conservative, what exactly that entails. So, when it comes to mass migration, my question is, well, why exactly would you be against mass migration? What is your reasoning for being against a different people or a different culture coming into your land, your neighborhood, your communities, and being around you? Well, I think some of this, if you're being honest, has to do with basically what I already said. So a different culture, a different people who don't value the same things, people who don't share the same culture, don't want to adapt to the culture that you prefer, the culture that you like, and what exactly why is that, right? That's it's a good question. Well, one of those reasons is they don't have strong roots connecting them to our history, to our traditions and culture and all these things. And you can't expect someone who came here a month ago or yesterday, or someone who doesn't even have family here, to come here and then suddenly have a deep connection and a deep care for the Constitution and American values and Judeo-Christian values and all these things that we care about. They don't, a large part of the time, they don't even know what those things are, or they have their own interests, their own cares, and they have their own culture that they bring with them. When they come from a third world country, they bring the third world culture and attitude with them. They don't suddenly, there's no magical point they turn into a traditional conservative type. Most of the people who have been here for many years and who have had family and ancestors who have lived here for many years, those people tend to have more of a connection to some of the traditions and the culture in these things. But that's something that plays into this is, well, it's a different people. Now, the vast majority of American history, the country has been made up of primarily one demographic and one demographic only. Now, it wasn't until the 1965 Immigration Act where things started to change rather quickly. And it's only been recently that people are realizing just how many people have been coming in and just how bad things are. The other thing I wanted to speak on is what exactly it means to be a conservative. If you're a quote-unquote conservative, what exactly are you trying to conserve? Are you trying to conserve the cultures, the history, and the traditions, and the values, and all these different things? Well, I can't help but see it as that automatically entailing the people who value those things. You have to preserve or conserve the people who care about those things, because the moment those people go away or disappear, or you no longer have those people, well, then all those things that you value, the cultures, the traditions, the values, all these things, they only matter as much as your people, your collective people, care about those things. Now, if your collective people, there's enough people within your land, within your country, within your communities, within your environment that not only don't care about it, but absolutely hate it, see it as evil, see it as literally Satan, and want it to be gone away with, want it to be removed from the internet, removed from the schools, removed from the television, everywhere it could possibly be removed from, well, then for all intents and purposes, your values, your cultures, your traditions, all these things will be gone, because nobody exists within reality. If we're talking about reality here, we're talking about the real world. No one exists in your or my world or at least the country, the nation that you're in, that will fight or be it through the courts, be it through the internet, be it through social media, all these things, who care enough to try and keep those things intact, care enough to conserve, care enough to preserve those things. So if you're a conservative, what you really mean, what you're really trying to say is if we're being honest here, if we're willing to, put our feelings, our what you could consider morals still have morals, but put truth and honesty at the forefront here, well then what we're really trying to do is conserve or preserve the people who value those things. If you don't conserve the people who have those traditions, if you don't conserve the people that the people that have the same traditions, have the same culture, celebrate the same holidays, care about the same things that you do, care about the same history, care about the rights, the freedoms, the liberties, on and on and on, right? So those people are primarily only one demographic. Now, there's a small percentage of some other demographics that, because of their family being within the country or within the nation for however many years, and they care about those things, but you have to keep in mind that that is a relatively small percentage. Not to say we should dismiss them or act as if they don't exist, but just recognizing that if you, such as a current sitting president right now, try to pander or cater to them throughout virtually any election, the most that number changes is only a few percentage points. That you could say, well, black unemployment is doing great, or we really should honor the death of George Floyd, and at the best that any right-wing or conservative type politician will ever get in any election, no matter which president, doesn't matter. The most they have ever changed is a matter of 2, 3, maybe 4%. It's a very small percentage that they're able to change the other demographics and how they vote, because every single election throughout all of history of all elections, ever since there's been elections, there's only one demographic that ever votes by policy and by ever votes right-wing or conservative or any of these things. So again, what exactly are you trying to conserve here? What because these values are a conceptual thing. There's no physical thing to defend there. So what physically are you trying to defend? Of course, the statues are being torn down and these things, and those are largely worth defending, but there's something that keeps those statues and that history there and keeps it intact, and it's something else aside from something that's kind of vague, kind of, this nice idea, this nice concept. Well, who cares about those concepts? Who cares about these traditions? Who cares about these values, right? Who does? You tell me. Look at every single election, and now look at it by demographic. Look at every single election by demographic. How does each demographic vote for every election there's ever been? And from best I can tell, there's only one every single time. So if you're a conservative, let's start focusing on conserving what actually matters, what actually conserves our values, our traditions, and our culture.